Your job's a joke, you broke. Your love life's the away. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to fall. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me too. You're still in bed at 10 and work again at 8. You burned your breakfast so far, things are going great. Your mother warned you there'd be days like these. She didn't tell you when the world was brought you down to your knees. That I'll be there for you when the rain starts to fall. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me too. No one could ever know me. No one could ever see me. Seems you're the only one who knows what it's like to be me. Someone to face the day with, make it through all the rest with. Someone I always laugh with, even at my worst, the best with you. Yeah. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. I'll be there for you when the rain starts to fall. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me too.
We live in a day and age where technology is a dominant force in every facet of our lives. As our community's next generation interacts with their environment, many understandably take how they work for granted. As banking, farming, home appliances, and almost everything else becomes connected, technology and engineering are now essential skills for the workforce of the future.
This introduces inherent diversity and equity challenges as access to internet, technology, and relatable learning content are slower to adjust to the essential nature of these new skills. The goal of our task force is to help tackle these issues by working to help broaden the availability and relatability of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics for younger age groups.
The idea is that future generations should have equal access to the skills necessary to design, build, and repair the technology in their lives in the same way that you could go to the hardware store today. Our task force wants to get parents involved and teach kids in the greater Hartford district via fun games or apps that will help learn coding and programming and develop this problem-solving mentality at a young age.
So our group came together in January for the first time, and we were inspired by Ann Skilling's vision of access to technology and be able to provide access to technology to those who are less fortunate than us. And we started with this vision, but there were no goals or objectives in place to helping us along our road. And in order to be successful, we knew we needed to have a strong leadership structure, one that would allow us to work more efficiently and be agile. And so we put in place a CEO, and Juliana stepped up for that role. And we also put in place 2 sub-leaders, and those roles were filled by Amanda and by Whitney. And having this strong leadership was very crucial as we went into the unknown, being COVID.
As a guiding principle, we decided it was important to add value where we were most needed and not to duplicate the great efforts that are already happening across Hartford. So we developed an interview framework and a list of community partners that we wanted to interview with a focus on how we might be able to help their organizational needs and how our team capabilities would align. We talked to nonprofit organizations like Girls for Technology and the Boys and Girls Club, public institutions like Hartford Public Library and the public schools, and educational museums like the Science Center and the Children's Museum. And as we were doing these interviews at the beginning of 2020, COVID was just starting to become clear of what the impact might be. So their needs were rapidly evolving.
As we were brainstorming during that onset of COVID and taking all these changes into account, our first nuts and bolts vision for our task force and what it would deliver was a virtual summer camp. The idea was that we could bridge the gap in between two very weird school years for the students, recognizing extended time in between physical presence in the classroom and the lack of traditional summer activities like summer camps and summer schools. To make this real, we set out with two goals and two teams. One, to assess and mitigate internet connectivity shortfalls within the community, and two, to collaborate with these community partners to translate their existing content into our virtual summer camp curriculum.
We came up with so many truly viable and efficient projects as a team, and I think we were so great at pivoting as every obstacle and hurdle appeared, especially around coronavirus and just the landscape of the community changing and the need constantly changing. We had so many good ideas in our team that eventually we had too many good ideas and we didn't know really which way to go. So we thought the best thing to do was to submit a call to the community. We reached out to every nonprofit that up until this point had provided us, a phone call for more information or connections with other people in the community who were trying to accomplish what we were, which is to get technology out there to children. We reached out to every connection that we made in the 6 months prior, and we asked them what was their organization doing? What did their organization need? How could our team of professionals possibly help uplift or complete a project that they were already running with, that already had legs, so we knew there wouldn't be more barriers. And we reached out to the community. We received a couple of really great proposals back as to projects we could jump on and help elevate with our skill sets. And from there, we discovered the Pratt Street Wide-Eye project. We saw how it really aligned with what we wanted to do as a task force, and we started running down that route.
The Pratt Street Wide-Eye initiative's purpose was to provide access to Wi-Fi for Hartford families, students, and residents. Our group wanted to contribute to this because this was sort of going back to our first goal and why we started our task force in the first place. So our group wanted to make sure there was socially distanced and safe, reliable seating on the grounds, as well as having the possibility for charging stations, sanitizer dispensers, and also maybe books for our students and young children through the Little Libraries program. Overall, we wanted to create a dedicated space that was safe for our kids and educators to have to use through this pandemic in time of need. We then worked out the price of materials, and then we tried to secure a permanent space on Pratt Street that wouldn't be affected when the road was in service on a normal day. And then we
had the concept and the access to the Wi-Fi. We had the shell of a website and the resources ready to go. We had picnic tables approved for our budget, and we just needed some physical space. Unfortunately, that just fell through and we couldn't secure it. So we had just a few weeks to get our project off the ground. We decided that instead of recreating the wheel, we'd focus our energy on promoting what already exists. The greater Hartford community had the hotspots. We had the plan to build a website, so we combined those two so that we could promote hotspots on our website to ensure that most people within the community had access to Wi-Fi. This is something that can live as a community resource beyond our group, and as long as COVID is around and even after COVID is over.
Securing space on Pratt Street, we had to quickly pivot our focus. We had already discussed and began designing a website, so we decided to focus our efforts on a website that would showcase free Wi-Fi access in downtown Hartford, targeting Hartford families that would include links to virtual enrichment content as well. Throughout the Quest experience, we all recognized that each member of the group had different goals for what they wanted the team to accomplish. After reassessing our goals and having tough conversation as a team, we collectively understood that we shared a hope of creating a final product to share with the community while also growing together as leaders. This gave us a chance to redefine our shared vision. Being an Enneagram Type 9, it was at this point in our quest journey where I finally felt a sense of understanding and peaceful connectivity with the team. The group met up in downtown Hartford to check out and verify free Wi-Fi locations to ensure the content we created on the website was accurate.
Wi-Fi scavenger hunt allowed those on our team who were not that familiar with the city of Hartford to get a feel for the environment downtown. It also gave us a chance to get together in person for the first time since March. We started in small groups looking to connect to Wi-Fi at select locations, and then we all gathered for happy hour afterwards at Parkville Market to really talk about our scavenger hunt findings, but more so to socialize and network and really get to know each other better in a way that virtual meetings had really hindered for us the last few months. And we have to give a special thank you to LGH for the gift cards to Parkville Market. Otherwise, we might have picked a different location. We gained a lot of momentum after that session as it unified us as a task force with a goal of continuing these relationships beyond tonight. One of our last meetings turned out to be the smoothest meeting we had throughout the program. Everyone participated, contributed, and despite there being little structure to that particular meeting. And that was a direct result of us all building relationships within the team.
Once the decisions about the website and its content were finalized by the group, I felt that I finally had an opportunity to contribute to the project in a significant way. Work so far on the project had centered on connecting with various community groups and contacting organizations, which I felt didn't play into my personal strengths as a more technical person. So I felt that I hadn't done much and contributed to the group so far in the project. This also ties into my Enneagram type as an observer. I tend to be a person that sits back, takes in information, and waits for a time to make a rational, conscious, and well thought out decision. So once I saw the opportunity with the website, I jumped at it, and we were able to create hartfordlearns.com, which is a website which allows folks in Hartford to find open Wi-Fi locations, as well as contains a number of links to various free educational websites to assist students who may not be able to get the best educational content during the COVID pandemic. And this is our final product, as I mentioned, hartfordlearns.com. Each one of these locations was visited by the group, as Brittany had mentioned, on our previous trip to Hartford. And we took an opportunity to examine each site to find the particulars of the Wi-Fi networks and to ensure that it was free and accessible to users, as well as looking for additional features like places to sit, parking, bus stops, and other things that may be important to families trying to access these locations. We also added a number of educational links, which we've broken down into a number of categories. The first are ones focused on Hartford and local education, as these may be the most useful to the students that would be using these Wi-Fi locations. We also have a number of various broader educational websites, Girls Who Code, PBS Kids, for example, and Khan Academy, science and different learning activities, virtual museums, and various creative activities, which can be anything from simple art projects to guided tour of the Monterey Bay Aquarium, something lighter and less strenuous for those that want to take a break. We also have areas on the website where people can see news about Wi-Fi in Hartford, including the project which has recently been announced to provide free open Wi-Fi to all of Hartford in the near future. In addition, there's also an opportunity for people to schedule various events, educational opportunities, etc., that may come up in the future in our continued attempt to help the community access Wi-Fi educational resources and bridge the education gap that's become so apparent during this pandemic.